Hello, and welcome to this year of stories. My name is Mary Birch, and I'm a member of the Scottish Tourist Guides Association. And today I'd like to tell you a story. And I'm going to tell you a story about somebody that I admire very much and regard as a real Scottish hero. So if you've got a few minutes to spare, just sit back and relax, and I will share my screen. So the person I'm going to talk about is Eric Liddell. He was born in January in 1902. And I suppose, like many non-native Scots, I came to find out about Eric through this film here, a picture on the left, Chariots of Fire, which really was one of the films that boosted the UK film industry, because it won a number of Oscars. And in that picture, you see actually the Eric Liddell, played by a very fine actor, Ian Charleston, winning, being carried on people's shoulders as a triumphant sporting hero. On the right-hand side, you have a picture from the Dundee Courier of a number of students from the local Madras College in St Andrews who reenacted this scene. The scene was filmed on West Sands in St Andrews. Although the Olympians had done their training in Broadstairs in Kent, St Andrews was regarded as a good place to shoot this film, and particularly this scene which opens the film. And so when the Olympic torch came to the UK in 2012 and the Games were to be held in London, the torch travelled through the country, spending a couple of days in Fife. And so somebody came up with a brilliant idea of reenacting it and using those local students. But I want to talk about the real Eric, or Eric behind the scenes, if you like. Eric was born in China. He was the child of Scottish parents who were Scottish missionaries in China. And he was born in the northeast of China, between Beijing and Tianjin. And he spent his early days in China. He went to school there until he was about 8 or 9. And like many missionary boys, missionary children, he would go back to Great Britain and be educated there. So he went back with his brother Rob. And you see the picture on the left. This is the family of Eric. There were 4 siblings. Eric's on the right there, and his brother Rob on the left, and his sister Jenny, who does actually appear in the film, her characters in the film, and the younger brother Ernest. And obviously the photo on the right is a slightly later stage with their mother sitting down. So he went to school, and that would have been it. He would have done his education. He would have had done a degree, which he did at Edinburgh University. And then the course of his life was really to train as a minister and return to China as a missionary, joining his parents. And his older brother Rob did the same thing. He trained as a doctor and returned in a medical role in the missionaries. However, when he was at Eltham College, he found out that he had an amazing prowess for sport. He was the captain of a rugby team, the captain of the cricket team, but mostly he was a fantastic runner, a really fast runner, particularly over short distances. So it looked like he was called the Flying Scotsman by the papers, can you imagine? And he definitely looked like he had a great chance of winning a medal in the forthcoming 1924 Paris Olympics. And that's what he started training for, and he was part of that team. However, things didn't quite go to plan, because when he received the letter telling him when the heats were running, you can see there the 100 meters, which was his chosen event, his favorite event. The heats were to take place on a Sunday, as were also the relay for the 200 and 400 meters. So Eric, because of his Christian belief, felt that he could not run on a Sunday. That was just something he couldn't do. Now, in the film, it's interesting because he finds out as he's actually on the boat over to Paris. In real life, that it wasn't quite that way, but it was still dramatic. He found out a few weeks beforehand, and he made known his decision. He was labelled as unpatriotic, as a coward. He was sent death threats, and he was very deeply hurt by this. But he started training instead for the 200 and 400 meters, even though he'd not really ever run a race of those lengths. And he did that. His times were not great in the run up to the Olympics, so it didn't look very promising at all. However, on the day, he was very relaxed, and I think he felt he hadn't got anything to lose, or nor nothing to win, I think. And so he ran and he ran, and he found that he could run, and he won. So he went from being something of a national embarrassment to actually being a celebrated hero. And as you can imagine, and you saw in that picture of the film poster, he returned as this national hero. So that might have been the end of the story, except Eric had a different life planned out for him, and that was to go and be a missionary. A week after he returned, he graduated from Edinburgh University, where he had studied chemistry, and his plan was to go back to China, which he did, and teach at a missionary school there. And then he returned a number of times on furlough. That's part of his gold story, but there's another part, which if you allow me, I would tell you next month. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much. And hopefully I'll see you next month. Goodbye.